Hi everybody, it's Reverend Therese, Unity Spiritual Center, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. And today is the 23rd of May, and I'm grateful that you're here. As you are comfortable, please write your name and your location in the box on Facebook. That helps us. And I'll get back to you if you have a prayer request, want to be added to our e-news, and want more information. So let's start like we always do in Unity, with prayer, to get ourselves centered in the right relationship with God, in our mind to settle, moving from our head to our heart, and we breathe. And we take a moment to get settled, and we use our breath as a tool in Unity to take us ever deeper within, where each of us meets the God of our own understanding. And so on this day together, we say thank you. Thank you for the internet that allows us to be in community. And thank you for the presence and the consciousness of all who will be with us now and all who will be with us sometime during this next week. We know that as two or more are gathered, then consciousness is raised, and so we are grateful. We say thank you. Thank you for the knowing of the right relationship with God. As we move to our head, to our hearts, and allow all that has brought us here in this now moment to be gone, we stay present, grateful. And so it is. We pray this in the name and after the nature and under the authority of the living, loving presence that is you and that is me. And so it is. We are grateful. Amen. Reverend Therese, Unity Spiritual Center, Hilton Head Island. Thanks for signing in when you join us. We're grateful to have your consciousness with us as we celebrate yet another day together. So grateful to be here with you. I want to talk about us being aware that heaven is here right now, everywhere present in this now moment. You and I in this now moment together in heaven. In Unity, and which is, I don't know if y'all know this, but our genre by the World Parliament of Religion is called New Thought. I'm not sure what Jesus said and how Jesus lived his life was new, but it's all right. That's the genre that Unity is put under when we're classified. And in Unity, as well in other New Thought traditions, we believe that, I believe as well, that heaven is within us. Everywhere present, always and in all ways. And of course, as always, we get to experience heaven to the degree that each of us, you and I, become conscious of the presence of heaven. Right here and right now. Everybody breathing? So wait, you're probably saying, what? Heaven's right here right now, Therese? Yes. It's not a geographical location, so to speak. It's a state of consciousness. And consciousness depends on our choices and our awareness. We know this as metaphysicians, don't we? So I am saying that heaven is up to you. Right here, right now. And how do we do this? How do we create, you and I, heaven right here on earth? Well, let's unpack it. Yeah? Isn't that fun? We always do this together. So you're probably asking, is there a formula? Is there a procedure? Is there a plan, Therese? How do we create heaven on earth? Is it, An attitude, an approach, a perspective? Yes. That's the key. Attitude, approach, and respect. Let me say it again. Attitude, approach, and perspective. I apologize, my dryer buzzer just went off and I didn't know how long it's going to be on. So let's take a moment and breathe and hydrate. Because we continue to be prayed up and washed up, of course. And yesterday when I was out and about here in South Carolina, Bluffton, someone said to me, you know, we don't have to wear our mask. I said, oh, I'm an essential worker. And I'm wearing mine right now. I was in a store. So choices are choices. We're so grateful for them all. All right, heaven, an attitude, an approach, and a perspective. These are the three keys. So there's a story about how to explain this, I guess. And you all are familiar with Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, right? They were friends and they hung around. Well, so the story goes, and I think my friend Candace will appreciate this. They were camping and they're settling in for the night, and Holmes and Watson are looking up at the sky, and Holmes says to Watson, hey, Watson, tell me what you see when you look up into the sky. And Watson said, well, I see heavens, of course. And Holmes says to him, well, what does that tell you? Well, Watson wanted to be impressive, of course, so he said, well, astronomically, it tells me that there are millions of galaxies, potentially billions of planets. And meteorologically, it tells me, he says, that we will have a beautiful tomorrow. And he goes on to say, theologically, it tells me that God and the universe are infinite. Sounds pretty profound, doesn't it? So after a brief pause, Watson says to Holmes, and well, what does it tell you, Holmes? And Holmes doesn't miss a beat and he says, well, it tells me, Watson, that someone stole our tent. I can hear you laughing. I can hear you laughing. So what it's really telling us is that creating heaven on earth is a matter of perspective, of attitude, and of approach and perspective. Because that could have been a hellish moment, couldn't it? Camping with no tents. You know, I camp when I go to Holiday Inn, so I'm just saying, unless I would get a cute little camper. So today we're going to look at two simple ways, two profound questions, so to speak. Where is heaven and where are we dwelling? So if you're taking notes, jot them down. Where is heaven and where are we dwelling? Where is heaven? Where is heaven? So take, wherever you are, take a look around. Wherever you are in this moment. I have a beautiful beachside home. Well, I call it shabby chic. I call it beachside, and I'm a half an hour from the beach. But in my mind, this is my bit of heaven. So let's talk for a moment about Luke in the chapter 17, verse 20 and 21. So we're all on the same page, okay? So this is what it says that Jesus said. And when he was having a conversation with the Pharisees. The Pharisees, Luke tells us, said and asked Jesus where the kingdom of heaven is and when it would come. Right, so again, this is chapter 17, verse 20 and 21. And Jesus says in reply to the Pharisees, the kingdom of heaven does not come by observation, neither will it happen when we say, behold, it is here, or behold, it is there. Rather, Jesus says, the Bible tells us, that the kingdom of heaven is within. Now imagine the Pharisees even hearing this, let alone believing it. Remember, the Pharisees were all about the letter of the law, and Jesus was always and continues to be through us and in us as we are in the world, as begotten children as well. We are the spirit of the law, and that is what makes the difference. That's what makes unity so wonderful and great. And it fulfills my passion to make sure that we can get out there and tell everybody this, however it is. And it could just be the way that we speak with another. So in unity, as I said, in the New Thought tradition, we know that heaven is a state of consciousness, not a geographical location. And it's not just any state of consciousness. It's a specific state of consciousness that we choose to get to when we rise above all the egoic things that happen in our lives, all the making somebody else wrong with me, wrong with you, or blaming it on something else, because we remember the word blame is be-lame, B-L-A-M-E. Once we live from the place within us that is heaven, it's going to show up around us, isn't it? Of course it is, because we're going to see it with eyes of faith. Everybody breathing? Yeah. Heaven is defined in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary written by our co-founder, Charles Fillmore. A state of consciousness in which the soul and the body are in harmony with divine mind, capital D and capital M. It is the real state of being. Soul and body in harmony with divine mind. It's a state of heaven. No matter what the physicality of our bodies, no matter where it is that we may reside, heaven is a choice. It is a state of consciousness. And yet I bet you all, like I, have heard over and over and over again, right, that the kingdom of heaven is within us. And yet, somewhere along the line, I'm not sure when, I didn't learn it until I was in my 30s, but before that, this message, which is found in Scripture, right, before you and I all came along, but the church has got a hold of it. And they decided that heaven would become a place in the sky where we go when we die. Heaven is here and now. So for those of you who have puppies or kitties, that you're in heaven, aren't you? I know you are. So I'm in heaven with my plants because we get to choose where we are. No matter where, if you're in home or you're at a friend's house, or maybe you're in a rehab facility because you had a fall. Well, guess what? Heaven is right there with you. Absolutely. All of those who are attending to you, maybe you're on a lake somewhere or at a campsite, heaven is there. Your heaven is there, my heaven is here. Everywhere present, always and in all ways. And so I said this earlier, that it's a state of consciousness. Well, guess what, everybody? It's not just us new thoughters, us unity folks that think that or know now that heaven is a state of consciousness. Nope. 10 years ago, 10, 11, 12 years ago, back in, I think it was 1999, 1999, in an article in the Houston newspaper, Tucson, I believe it was, they interviewed the Pope. And here's what the Pope said. The Pontiff said, "Heaven is neither an abstraction nor a physical place in the clouds. Rather, a living and personal relationship of union with the Holy Trinity. Everybody breathe. Right here, right now, heaven. Yes? I think you'll agree that you've all been through hell. I've been through hell. I don't need to go there after I die. And I don't want to go there later today or tomorrow either. I'd rather be in a state of heaven as I change up my consciousness and my thinking, my awareness, my appreciation, my attitude, so that it can be heaven right here and right now. Recapping for a moment. Heaven, living and personal relationship with God, and a state of consciousness, right? Simultaneously, where the soul and the body are in harmony with our divine mind. And our divine mind comes the moment we are born. We have it always, and in always, we get to decide whether or not we're going to access it, right? By choices we make. All right then. So then where are we dwelling? Where are you dwelling? Are you dwelling right here, right now in heaven, wherever you are? From all over the country watching us in this moment? Are you creating heaven? Staying present to the presence? We get to live in the question, y'all. We get to decide and make choices. I have a friend who's getting a brand new little itty bitty puppy for her husband next week. And they're so excited about it. They already have a puppy. And guess what? They're going to have an expanded awareness of heaven when this new little puppy arrives. Yesterday, on the 20th, my granddaughter Madison turned 7. I wasn't with her, but I was celebrating here. She was having a day full of heaven at the chocolate shop with her friends. Yes, so exciting. I was in heaven when I was at Unity Village. Of course. And I'm in heaven right here, right now, with you. With you. What I know is that this presence of heaven, this consciousness of heaven, that each of us gets to create on earth is necessary, y'all. It's time. The world needs us. Why not start today? Why not start today? Because I don't think we need to wait any longer, right? Every one of us, you and I, individually gets to make a decision to place our awareness, which is what? Everything we're aware of, in heaven. And then we're in the car and we're driving and there's lots of traffic, especially down here right now. I get to be in heaven in my car, blessing everybody else who's coming to what they know is paradise, called Hilton Head Island, at least in their own minds, yes? So it's all right. Whatever it looks like outside, remain heaven-filled. It's within us, and we experience heaven to the degree that we, you and I, become conscious of it. Now, this has nothing to do with ego. It has to do with empowering ourselves with our divine mind, embracing our divinity, and living from it. It's quite exciting, isn't it? It's quite exciting. So I'm wondering, what will motivate us? What will motivate you and me to actually make the decision to say, I'm going to experience heaven right now? So I want you to put your hand on your heart if you're comfortable and say with me, I am going to create heaven right now. Let's say it again. I am going to create heaven right now. Guess what? It's happening. It's happening. As we let go, as we release all that no longer serves us, as we allow God, as we move into the passenger seat, right? Yes. Each of us, walking, talking, living, breathing, manifestation of God. That's what we are. So say this with me, please. I am a walking, talking, living, breathing manifestation of God. Own it. Be it. All we ever have to do is say, I want it. And then we get to be it. Because, and why? You say why? Because you and I are each whole, complete in every way. Perfection as the begotten children of the Most High, which resides within us. Isn't that exciting? I think it's so exciting. And every time I see a picture of one of my grandbabies, I think, yes, babies mean the world is to go on. So excited to see them in a few weeks. So how will you commit today to releasing the self-doubt, to release the self-reproach, to release the paralysis of fear? And when will you say, enough? I'm done with all that kind of thinking. I'm done living in hell, or what I say, H-E double hockey sticks, right? I am going to choose heaven today. And there's a song, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. I'm choosing heaven today. We get to choose. We get to choose. I love this about us. I love this about how we can create a life that looks like heaven right here, right now, while we're living. We're breathing and we're appreciating everything around us. I'm appreciating you. I'm appreciating that you're signing in and letting me know that you're here with us from wherever you are, your little bit of heaven. Yes? And of course, because our ego gets in the way, right? We're not going to always stay in heaven permanently because the thoughts come and go. But we get to get a glimpse of it. And then we get to say, hey, I want more of that. Let me choose that again. And we get to say, yes, I want this. And then our thoughts get to experience them, which manifest out into our world. And then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Choosing heaven is going to look good on you. Yes. So I'm wondering, what are we waiting for? What am I waiting for? I'll concentrate on that a little bit later today, where there's less than heaven in my life. And I ask you to do the same thing when those egoic and hellish thoughts come into your mind. Choose heaven. Each time we get triggered by the lower states of consciousness, which is the hellish thoughts we have, according to Fillmore, it means that it's going to look ucky outside of us, right? Our colleague, Ernest Holmes, Fillmore's colleague, Ernest Holmes, in Science of Mind, right, which might today be known as Divine Science, Centers for Spiritual Living, says hell cools off when we think of heaven. Isn't that fabulous? Of course it does. It has to. Positive thinking, knowing that we're in heaven, we are of God, and all is ours because we are begotten as well, changes and shifts and cools off the hellish thoughts. May Rowland, Unity Minister and the Director of Silent Unity, says, heaven will arrive as we know who we are, and we can proclaim to ourselves and to the world that we are one with God, whole, perfect, and complete. It arrives because we allow it to make manifest through us. It's not something that comes from outside of us. It comes in through and as us and has its way with our thoughts. Love it. So we get to proclaim it and be it. Now, careful. I'm not sure if you want to do that when you're at the grocery store or at the tire repair store, like, hey, I'm living in heaven right now. We don't have to speak a bit loudly, although it's all right to. Just be mindful. You might scare somebody. I'm always scaring somebody with that. So there's a conversation that happened that I want to share with you about that makes perfect sense to me. It's a story that happens when two people are waiting in a psychiatrist's waiting room, right? And they're sitting next to each other, two men, and one says, hey, why are you here? And the guy says, well, I'm Napoleon, so my doctor told me to come here. So the first patient is curious, and he says, well, how do you know that you're Napoleon? To which the second patient replied, God told me I was. And at that point, there was some rustling in the other side of the waiting room, and a patient stood up and said, with his hands on his hips, I most certainly did not. Get it? The one thought he was God, one thought he was Napoleon. Okay, I won't finish explaining that. Heaven arrives as we know who we are and whose we are, and we proclaim it for ourselves. Yes, heaven is in Tide Point with the Normans today. Yes, it's in Bluffton. All around us here right now. It's in Florida. It's in Colorado and out on the West Coast. Washington State. Yes, with Nehemiah Tim. So many places heaven is because you are, and you're creating heaven wherever you are. In Missouri, in Illinois, all over the place. It's so exciting. And the heaven state of mind is contagious. We are one with God, whole, perfect, and complete. Say it with me. I am one with God, whole, perfect, and complete. So heaven comes forth from within us because we know we are one with God. And heaven becomes a contagious state of mind because we know that we are one with everybody. No matter where we are in this moment, we are one. I love this. I love this. Heaven is a state of consciousness, and it arrives for you and for me as we allow the inner wisdom of love and joy and abundance and peace to come forth from within us and express outwardly. And then we become contagious. Attitudes are contagious. The question is yours worth catching? Right? That's an oldie and goodie. As you and I develop our ability to choose, and where it is we're going to place our awareness, right? What is having its way with us? Then we get to see such great demonstrations of heaven-like experiences. After the rain the other day, we had a rainbow. That's a heaven-like experience, isn't it? Of course. And then it becomes the self-fulfilling philosophy again, right? Because of course, then I've got to make sure that the neighbors can see the rainbow as well. And again, we become contagious. So I have one last example of heaven on earth. And it's a story by a woman who is so oblivious to anything but her bliss that she wanted to share her state of happiness. So this is the story. Some of you might have already heard it, and it still makes me giggle. The other day, this woman had just come from an exhilarating choir practice, because now she had a mask that allowed her, during this time of COVID, to sing. It was developed by an opera singer out in California. So she's driving home, and as she drove home, she saw at a religious spiritual bookstore a sign that said sale. So she decided, I'm going to stop in. I'm going to see what's going on. So she stops in the store and browses, and at the counter, she saw a sticker that said, honk if you love Jesus, for the bumper of her car. Well, she thought, wow, of course. He's my way shower. He designed the roadmap how I live my life. Yeah, I'm going to buy one of these. So she buys the sticker that says, honk if you love Jesus, and puts it on the back of her car. Well, listen to the uplifting experience that followed. She went on to share that she was stopped at the stoplight of a really busy intersection and was so lost in her heavenly thoughts and feelings that she didn't notice that the light had changed. And suddenly, she said, I found lots of people who love Jesus. Why, she says, the boy behind me started to honk like crazy. The guy next to her started to honk like crazy. And on the other side of her, like, what are you doing? She said, that little boy behind me must have really loved Jesus, because pretty soon he leaned out his window and he said, go, geez, go. Everybody else was honking. So she leaned out her window and waved and smiled at all the people, she said. Well, she said, as the story went on, there must have been some guy in Florida behind the kid, because she could hear him yelling something about a sunny beach. And she saw him waving a funny wave at her that had only one finger involved. Well, her teenage son was in the back seat of the car while this is all happening, and he's cracking up. And she says, honey, what is happening? What is that guy? What's the sign? I mean, he's waving at me. And the kid turns around and looks at the guy behind her and says, oh, Mom, that's the Hawaiian good luck sign. So she says she leaned out the window and gave him back the good luck sign. And she goes on to explain that so many people were caught up in the joy of the moment that they got out of their cars and were walking towards her. She says, I knew they just wanted to pray with me. And then, oh my gosh, I noticed that the light had changed. And so I stepped on the gas and went through the intersection. She said, it was a good thing I was the only one who got through the light. And she said, then I looked in my rearview mirror and saw all my new friends standing there, leaning out of their windows. And I leaned out of mine, and I gave them a big smile, and I gave them that Hawaiian good luck sign as I drove away. Of course, by this time, her son has totally sunk down in the back seat of the car. So the moral of the story is, y'all, you can create heaven on earth. Knowing that it's inside of you and choosing to say, I'm gonna choose heaven today. Now, you might want to be a little bit more aware of what's happening in the cars around you if you're driving. I'm just saying. However, imagine the joy in this woman who was a little bit clueless on how she was creating her heaven in that moment. So I dare you. I dare you today, in this week, in this month, in this summer coming up, create heaven on earth where you are in this moment, always and in always, because heaven can't wait. It's got to happen, and we're the ones who make it happen, and so it is. Amen. Let's take a moment and close your outer eyes as you're comfortable and breathe. And take a moment to move from your head to your heart. The longest journey in our lives sometimes, isn't it? And breathe. Close your outer eyes as you're comfortable and breathe into the moment that is now, into the bit of heaven that is created wherever you are. And know that as each of us makes the choice to live from that place within, where God resides, where our right relationship happens, we know that in our awareness, heaven happens. Harmony and abundance, peace, love, joy, smiles, they happen. Divine life surrounds us right here and right now. Each of our cells are strengthened from within. We are healthy. We are whole. Our thoughts are one with harmonizing love as we bless each other with our presence and our consciousness. In a time of silence right now, let our hearts be full of gratitude for this time together, for the smile on your face as we say silently to ourselves, thank you. In deep appreciation for all that you are, all that you've come here to be, we say thank you. And we breathe into this now moment grateful for this little bit of heaven wherever each of us is. And we say thank you for the harmony and the wholeness as we acknowledge our true divinity in all that we've come here to be. And as we bring our attention back to this time and this place, we say thank you. And we pray this in the name and after the nature and under the authority of the living, loving presence. That is you and that is me. And so it is. Amen. Thank you for being here. Whatever time, whatever day it is that you're watching us, and thank you for supporting us through your practice of generosity as you're so moved. We lovingly receive on our website, www.unityofhiltonhead.org, where we push the practice generosity button and lovingly use PayPal or your credit card to support Unity of Hilton Head or your snail mail. Thank you, because I'm the one that gets to receive your surprises and your notes and your thoughts of love and caring for this great spiritual community. We are so grateful. And so it is, I am grateful for you, for this week, for this little bit of heaven that we've created that will emanate out from us because we are on purpose. Thank you. I appreciate you. Unity of Hilton Head appreciates you, and so it is. Have a blessed week. Amen. Reverend Therese signing off, Unity Spiritual Center, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Bye, y'all.